การแสดงวัฒนธรรมอะไรพวกนี้บ้านเมาลีมันมี2ที่นี่บ้านเมาลีกับมีการแสดงบางส่วนสถานที่ตรงนี้ก็เหมือนกันแต่ว่าครับเราจะมาเที่ยวน้ำพุร้อนก็ใช่ดิมันลื่นมันลื่นอันตรายอยู่ที่ไหนมันก็
อยู่ที่กระเป๋าป๊าแหละใส่เงินน่ะ
ไปไหน
ทำไมเหรอ
มันเสียรองเท้าเข้าไปรองเท้าแตะเขาไม่ให้เข้า
เอา
ห้ามใส่รองเท้าแตะแล้วก็ห้ามใช้ดูต้องไปจากที่นี่ขับรถไปอีกถึงจะลืมมายังไม่เคยเห็นน้ำพุพุ่งใช่ไหมคุณน้ำพุพุ่งขึ้นมานะฮะคุณต้องวิ่งไปซื้อตั๋วทางนู้นก่อนทางที่ตะกี้นี้เรามาแล้วเสร็จแล้วค่อยขับรถมาที่นี่ถ้าคุณขับรถมาที่นี่เลยที่นี่ไม่มีตั๋วขายครับ
แต่เข้ามาที่ต้องกดตั๋ว
แล้วถ้าไม่ซื้อตั๋วแล้วมันให้เข้า
ไม่เข้าก็ไปซื้อตั๋วก่อนเลย
ใช่บริเวณนี้นะฮะเป็นปากทางเข้าครั้งเดียวนี่10 โมงพอดี
ใช่ครับนี่10 โมงพอดี
ก็รออีก15 นาทีก็พอดีนั่งดูได้เลยมีสัญญาณให้นั่งเวลาเดิมยังงงอยู่ไม่น่าจะใช่นะถ้าอย่างนั้นน่าจะเปิดเองมากกว่า
โกยจะไม่ไหนโกดูมาข้างล่าง
ตรงนี้อยู่ข้างล่างใกล้หน่อยดีไหม
ไม่ทางนี้จะถ่ายรูป
ไม่สวยใช่ไหม
ไม่สวยเพราะว่าเวลาเราจะถ่ายรูปแบบนี้เราต้องหันไปข้างหลังมันจะหน้าจะมืดนี่นะครับตอนนี้เรามาถึงภูร้อนแล้วนะครับเรากำลังเตรียมตัวจะดูอีก10
เดี๋ยวไม่นั่งกันทั้ง2เลยซ้อทำไมเรานั่งเดี่ยว
มันเหลือที่เดียวเดี๋ยวมันกระเด็นใส่หนูนะ
มันนั่งไงเที่ยงนี่มา
แล้วยังไม่ได้ขึ้นไปข้างบนไม่ได้เดิน2 ชั่วโมงแล้วก็ไปนั่ง
Safety issues to cover. Now, for those of you going back to the thermal park after you've seen our eruption, please be aware that you're entering an active volcanic area, and for your safety, it's very important that you please stay on the formed pathways and follow the signage, and closed footwear, this is recommended as well. Thank you. So in the 1800s, it was estimated to be around 130 active geysers in this area. But by the 1970s, sadly, this number had been reduced to only about 15. The story behind Lady Knox Geyser began just over 100 years ago. So at this time, this area was nothing more than a barren wilderness, and it was covered in a light shrub and bush. Not too far away from where you folks parked your vehicles this morning, there was a prison. In fact, it was New Zealand's first open prison camp. Now the prisoners sent there were required to clear the shrub and bush to make way for the planting of pine trees. And naturally, it was a group of these prisoners that have stumbled across this clearing. And again, what you're seeing now, it's not what you would have seen back then. All that was here was a beautiful, clear, hot spring with a little ledge around it. It was about so high. To give you folks an idea of what it looked like, but on a much smaller scale, if we go and look at this rock formation to my right. Now if you look carefully, you may see a shrubby looking plant literally growing out of that rock. Now that's Manuka, or New Zealand tea tree, and its base marks the edge of what was then another hot spring or another geyser. So 100 years ago, prison life in New Zealand, it was rather primitive. These prisoners were around a half day's bumpy horse ride from Rotorua, and they did not have the luxuries of life. Now the bottom chamber, at a temperature well in excess of 150 degrees Celsius, now this is held at bay by the top cooler level of water, and that's around 90 degrees Celsius. And by breaking surface tension, this allows the two temperatures of waters to mix, which then flashes into steam and causing our geyser here to erupt. So, here I have in my hand a bag of an environmentally friendly soap-like substance called surfactant. This surfactant has been chemically engineered for myself to do exactly the same thing, but to leave behind no negative effects on the environment. So I'll pop this in and we'll see what happens.
ใส่อะไรอ่ะ
Yes. No, so I've got plenty of time to talk to you about what's happening beneath my feet. So within a few minutes we shall see some bubbles starting to form around the opening of the vent. As the hot water forces its way up through the cooler levels, we shall then see the water beginning to surge as she builds up to her first full eruption. Now at this point, I usually have a skeptic or two in the crowd saying, hey, that's not a natural geyser. But I can assure you folks it is. Even if I did not use the surfactant, she'd still erupt all by herself. But predicting when she'll do so, now that's almost impossible. So for tourism, and tourists such as yourselves to enjoy, we've been inducing her for the last 80 years or so. Now when she does erupt, there's going to be water hanging around in the air, and it looks like it's going to go this way today. But don't worry guys, by the time it gets here, it's going to be nice and cool with a slight soapy feel. Now to get something that looks like that hot spring there to look like the geyser we have here, what happened was the prisoners came down, and by placing rocks around the base of this hot spring to try and create a restriction or a chimney. And the reason for doing so, it was purely for their own entertainment. So in those days, they did not have TVs, computers, or Pokemon Go. They had to create their own fun. And by creating a chimney, this forced the water into a more narrow opening, which created a stronger jet of water, and ultimately sending their clothes even higher. And with every eruption, we see the water flowing here. This gets evaporated by sun and also wind, leaving behind the mineral silica, which is responsible for her white colour and shape. Our geyser is named after Lady Constance Knox. Now in New Zealand's history, quite honestly, she wasn't very important, but her father was. Now her father was a gentleman called Lord Ranfurly, and he was New Zealand's 15th Governor General. And in May of 1903, he was here in Wai-O-Tapu inspecting the prison, just to see how they were going on. To mark this occasion, his daughter, Lady Constance Knox, she has christened our geyser, and this is how the association comes about. So just a quick bit of geology about our geyser. She's over 150 years old. Her natural reservoir below her holds 30,000 litres of water. Her natural eruption cycle, this is somewhere between 36 and 72 hours. Now she can erupt for up to 1 hour, and reaching varying heights of between 10 and 20 metres high. How high she does go and how long she plays for, this is dependent on barometric pressure and also the amount of groundwater that's available in a 24-hour period. Now you can find geysers in 3 other main areas throughout the world. The largest group is in Yellowstone National Park in the United States of America, with another group in Kamchatka in Russia, and with a further cluster in Iceland. Now it's actually Iceland that gives us that word geyser. And in English it simply means to gush forth. Down here in New Zealand, we don't call these geysers. A geyser to us is a 2-legged elderly gentleman, and not one of these. So if you have any questions about the geyser or the geyser, please don't hesitate to ask any of the lovely staff here at Wai-O-Tapu. We will be glad to help. So please take plenty of photos and enjoy your day here with us at Wai-O-Tapu Thermal Wonderland. Thank you very much.
เยอะนี่เหรอใส่ไปนิดเดียวเยอะนี่เหรอ
好了。หลังจากที่ดูน้ำพุจบเราจะไปเดินดูบ่อโคลนนะฮะ不下去了，从这儿照就行。买的大坡。